You want to see something really scary?
You bet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this is really, really scary now.
I trust you.
Hello, Internet fans. It's your old pal Rottin Roger DeMarco here from RepulsiveReviews.com. This video, we're going to be talking about Brian Yuzna's 1996 film, The Dentist. So here is the plot rundown. Dr. Finestone, who's played by Corbin Burnson, is obsessed with things being perfect. He hates filth. He hates dental decay. He hates cigarette smoke. He hates gross people. And his life is sort of collapsing all around him. The IRS is auditing his dental practice. He discovers that his wife is cheating on him with the disgusting pool boy. He loses his mind. That is the movie in a nutshell. This is a vehicle for Corbin Burnson to fucking torture people's mouths. Before I get into my overall thoughts of the film, first, let's take a look at Brian Rogers!
Splatter facts.
We have 3 dead bodies. We have 1 dead dog. We have 2 titties. A little short on the titty count. We have dental torture. We have 1 severed tongue. And we have my personal favorite, knee-high leggings. The methods of death include, but are not limited to, gunshot, stabbing, injected with air, and strangulation. Okay, so, like I said, this movie is about a dentist whose life is collapsing around him, so he snaps, starts seeing his wife in every single patient. He starts losing his mind, and so he starts torturing everyone that he works with and everyone that he has appointments with. This movie, in my opinion, is like the 1993 film Falling Down with Michael Douglas on heroin. Except we actually kind of liked Michael Douglas's character. This movie, I have a hard time relating with Corbin Burnson. Yes, his wife is cheating on him. Yes, the IRS is angry with him. His staff doesn't necessarily respect him. But the thing about slasher movies and horror movies in general that makes them fun, that makes them a roller coaster ride, is you're either very scared of the killer and you are pulling for one of the victims to escape, or you are having a fucking blast with a franchise villain and you want to watch them dispatch people in creative ways. Not saying that this movie doesn't have some creative torture and killing and things like that, but it's hard for me to enjoy this movie. Not that it's a bad movie, but I don't necessarily like Corbin Burnson's character. I think he is a prick. You know, he's not a likable guy. He's a terrible person. He does sexually molest someone in his practice. He hurts a little kid. This is a bad dude. So I don't root for him to finish everybody off. I don't like his staff necessarily, other than the receptionist. She does a fantastic job. I enjoy Ken Foree's performance in this movie, but it's not enough. It's not enough for me to be like, man, I hope he catches the bad guy. That's my main grievance with this film. This film is meant to make you uncomfortable. You're watching people get their teeth grinded on and stuff, banking on that factor that Brian Yuzna is kind of known for with the Reanimator thing and Return of the Living Dead 3. It's really gross stuff. Corbin Burnson's character is emotionally unstable, and you can tell, I mean, even before he discovers his wife is cheating on him, that this dude is on the edge. This dude, he's a bad husband, flies off at the... he's angry, so fucking mad all the time, and it's like, you're not a good dude, you're a bad husband, that's why she fucks around on you, you're a terrible piece of shit. And it wasn't until the sequel, Dentist 2, Brace Yourself, even the name puts a little more fun in it. Dr. Finestone becomes a little more slapsticky. He becomes more of that traditional horror villain of that time, delivering one-liners and having a good time. And that movie ramps the camp up. That movie is a lot more fun. This one is unnerving. They shot this movie in 18 days, and they had some trouble with the budget, so Brian Yuzna actually offered to spend his own money on props and set design, but it turns out when he went to pay for it, these places actually just let him borrow these props. The budget was so tight that they actually only made one oversized mouth for these shots of the camera peering out of the mouth. They would interchange the teeth so it looked like different people's mouths. It's innovative. When you have a limited budget and you have 18 days to shoot, you will do whatever you can to make sure that the end product does not suffer. And this movie, the one thing I can say about it is that it looks good. It does not come across super cheap. The acting is very well done. The suspense is very well done. The dental torture will make you queasy. A lot of things about this movie that I really like, but it doesn't fall into that popcorn horror category that I care so much for. The budget was so constrained that Brian Yuzna actually drew all the storyboards himself. He could not afford to hire someone, so he drew all the storyboards for the DP to follow, which is kind of badass. This is a man of many hats, flexing many talents to get his vision out. And so I really respect that, and I love that about the determination of some of these old school directors that you don't get now. And that's part of the charm of these guys who made these classics that we all grew up on. 1996 was a lofty year for horror. So a lot of people missed out on this one, but I can specifically remember going to the video store, seeing this movie perhaps incredibly too young. For the people who have seen this movie, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's pretty graphic. There's some stuff that you don't expect a 12-year-old to see. So this movie left an impression on me. When I started collecting DVDs, this was one of the first movies that I sought out because of that impression. I remember gratuitous boobs. I remember very gross dental torture. And so when I started amassing my collection, I thought, there was nice breastises in that movie, and there was gore. I gotta get it. I revisit it maybe once a year, and it still kind of makes you queasy. It's not a great movie, but for me anyway, this is like a rite of passage movie. I feel like, you know, there are people that are into the really, really extreme stuff, the cannibal holocaust, the cannibal feroxes, you know, they want that Faces of Death-esque, video nasty grime and bleh, you know, and which is fine. I like some of that stuff. I don't shy away from it. I dig the gore. But this is a milder version of that rite of passage movie. You're going to rent this, you know what you're in store for, but you're going to show it to a buddy and watch him squirm when the teeth are getting ground the fuck up. So I think it's an important movie for the 90s era of horror. A lot of great things came out in 1996. Most notably Scream came out, which changed the game. The Amityville Dollhouse, and then there was some heavyweight stuff. Thinner came out, so you know you had a new Stephen King flick. Bottom of the barrel sequel stuff like Hellraiser Bloodline, which is where the franchise really starts going downhill. So the point is that 1996 was a mixed bag when it came to horror. So if you're at the video store in 1996, chances are you might not have picked up The Dentist, so you could pick up one of these more well-known movies. So what I'm saying is, if you haven't seen it, the time is now. Go out, find you a copy, check it out, see if it makes you squirm, see where you stand, and then introduce it to somebody else. Just spread it. This is a fun movie that deserves to be rediscovered. It's been 22 years. It ages ridiculously well. Super gnarly movie. Not the most fun of films, but definitely worth checking out. So, in my personal opinion, I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 blood drops because it does not meet my criteria for super fun horror. This is a sort of a rough one that can really push you away if you're into the fun, campy, vibrant colors and synth music and the over-the-top stuff that the 80s had to offer, and then some of the stuff later in the 90s started to duplicate, and now we've come full circle and retro is back. But this movie is right in that weird transition period from retro to overly glossy, everybody's pretty horror. We're right there. We're right at that shift. Scream really made it popular. That's the changing of the guard in the 90s. And everybody was a TV star acting in these movies, you know, a really pretty 20-year-old playing a 16-year-old or whatever. This movie needs to be seen. So like I said, in my personal opinion, it's 2 out of 5 blood drops for me. So, I should probably get going, because, after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them. So why not me? Right?